Well, you see, there was a little boy named Michael Myers, and he stabbed his sister in the tits. My name is Nate.
My name is Mike.
And what the hell was that?
What the hell was that?
A good time.
It was rad. Absolutely
good,
rad.
Good time.
I keep saying rad is the only word I got.
I think it's pretty fitting, though.
Oh, I'd say so.
I can't understate this. I had a great time watching that movie, and I am especially happy about that because I wasn't entirely sure that I would.
Right.
And not necessarily because of the film itself, which,
Right.
of course, I did have my concerns about that. But a little bit of a fun thing. So Mike and I came back from seeing Halloween Kills in theaters. We did not opt to watch it on Peacock, which we do have a subscription to because we wanted to watch WrestleMania 23, I believe it was.
20 for the one you wanted to watch. 22.
Yeah, 22. Darn it, every time. But we decided to watch it in the theaters, and it is a Saturday night when we are recording this. And typically, the way our schedules line up, we see movies during the week, which is great for us because the theaters tend to be significantly less crowded.
Right.
But we were reminded that people still like going to the movies. And so we went to see Halloween Kills in the theaters, and they were packed.
Yes.
To the point where we were going to see the film at a certain time, and there were only 2 seats in the very, very front row, so we decided to see it at another time,
Yeah.
which also was nearly sold out as well. And so we go to a Regal theater. I don't know if this is something that is that happens in other theater locations as well, but with the Regals near where we live, they have electronic displays, and they have a seating chart, essentially, for the theaters. And you have to choose where you're going to sit. It's assigned seats. And so Mike and I, on separate kiosks, go to place the orders for our seats. And let me try to explain this well enough that this could be understood. So the row that we were at, there were 3 seats, I believe. Yeah, there had to be 3 seats that were open at the end of this row. And so the 4th seat, there was a person. So Mike and I decided to get the 2 on the end. And so there would be a gap of 1 seat between us and the other person there. And so Mike places the order for his first, and Mike gets the one that is closest to the end of the aisle. So now there is Mike's seat, and then there are 2 open seats, and then there is that 4th seat that is already occupied.
Yes.
And so then I go to place my order for the seat directly next to Mike. However, Regal has a very stupid policy
Right.
where they don't let you buy a seat that will, I don't know if this is just for singular seats or for multiples.
I figure it
but
has to be just for singular.
yeah, I don't know.
To a point which we'll
I'm
get
not
to.
entirely sure how this is worked out, but you cannot get a seat that will leave a single seat gap
Yep.
between somebody else.
Which is clearly a fucking lie because on the screen display in the back row, the F row, there are 2 seats available, both of which are single seat gaps between groups in the back row. So somehow it's possible to leave a single seat gap.
Which I guess maybe that does answer that this is only applicable for single orders, because that's the only way I can imagine.
We
that
just gotta
happening.
figure out if we could both use the magical app on the same kiosk and each get our own tickets by scanning each of our respective things.
I imagine we probably could. We'll have to try that next time.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so again, to try to paint this picture here, there's now Mike on the end of the row, 2 open seats, and then a seat that is occupied.
Yes.
And so because of that stupid rule, I cannot get either of the 2 open seats that are next to Mike. And so then I decide, okay, well, clearly this isn't going to work, and I can't think of any other way around this. I'm just going to pick one of the random singular seats that are in the crowd of seats,
Yeah.
and I'll just sit in the one next to Mike. The only way that somebody can get these other seats are if there's two people.
If
And
it's
how
so- if-
unlikely is that?
How unlikely is it that a couple is going to come see a film? Am I right?
I know. I mean, couldn't be me. And so we do just that.
Right.
And we get our concessions. We sit down. We're shooting the breeze before the movie while we're waiting for the credits and stuff or not the credits, the trailers and stuff to come around, as we normally do.
Right.
And every time that anybody comes by, especially when it's more than one person, and walks in our general direction, I just kind of eye to Mike and tug at my collar
Yeah.
and pray that, it's not somebody coming to
sweating.
take my seat.
Yeah.
And so, of course, there are two people who
Love it.
come by.
I love
and
it.
they go, "What row is this?"
They start
And
sounding very confused. They come to the row we're in, and then kind of like, oh no, and then like go forward to the A row, and they're pretty sure they have a firm enough grasp on at least the
Yeah.
first two letters of the alphabet. So they go to like A, and they're kind of like something seems off here, so they come back to B, and then they ask us directly, "Oh, what row is this?" And then Nate, thank God
Oh,
for
it's
your
B.
confidence, because I was opting out. Like I just thought it would be too perfect if you just had to be like the voice that they spoke to, like the person occupying their seats. So like, they're like, "Oh, B," and then they start walking towards the ends of the seats because again, they intuit that they have a firm enough grasp on numbers, but they see that there's only one seat between my friend and I and the other people, and they say,
Oh,
"Well,
God.
we bought two available seats, so maybe it was just inverted on the screen," and so they start walking that way,
And so they go to the other end of the row.
Yeah, and they're like,
"Well,
okay.
no,
that's
so
not
they
right
start
either.
coming back, and I immediately am like, well, I better get my stuff together.
you when they come back, God bless you for swallowing it. You're just like, "What seat are you looking for?" And they go, "Oh, 3 and 4." And then you just go, "Yep." You stand up.
And Mike and I just go, well, I will see you after the film. And then I sat up in the G row with some people who I had never met before.
I so badly wanted them to ask me like what that was about. So I could be
I
like,
know,
"You ever
right?
go to the kiosk and like try to like
Yeah.
enter?" Look,
Man.
we come here a lot, and there's this weird thing, but they didn't mention it at all. Which I mean, like, God bless
Yeah.
them. But oh my God.
I honestly though I did think of a solution later on.
Okay.
I probably could have just gotten another ticket for the seat next to me and gotten two and just had the one seat between us be empty and one less person would have been able to get into that movie.
Ha ha ha. But like, wouldn't you have had to have paid some amount of money for that?
I don't know. I also have so many points that I could probably get like 4 free tickets for people who do not have the thing. Yeah, I don't know.
And anytime we
It's
go
neither
see
here
a
nor
movie
there.
in a group,
Actually,
if you ever
I
hear
did
this-
feel very bad about that because as soon as I paid for my or not paid, as soon as I got my ticket for Candyman,
Right.
and then walked to the concession, and then Ryan and Steven are then buying theirs, I was like, oh, I could
Yeah.
have. And I was like, well,
Steven goes, "Well, I can't get any concessions on account of I have no money.
Yeah.
After the ticket price, I had to save a month's worth of salary, you see, just to get this here ticket for my friends," which I hope isn't true because we still got to go see the Many Saints in Newark.
We certainly do. Well, I can get a free ticket for Steven then.
Yay! With no
But not
single
Ryan.
gaps.
He's got to pay for it.
But no single. Yeah, tell Ryan that the next Ghibli Fest is in late October, and it's Howl's Moving Castle.
Ooh, I like that one.
I haven't seen that one, so at least I saw a little bit of it back when I was still living at my mom's house, and my sister was in her like 23, 22 year range, and so her and her boyfriend were especially high on the couch, and me and my friends were especially high in the kitchen, and so Howl's Moving Castle was on, and I was just like, it was the first time I had encountered like anime in my life, like ever, like an anime style type thing. And all I saw was like a gelatinous blob and like a jumping scarecrow thing.
Yep.
It's like a scarecrow on like a broomstick looking type thing.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, what in God's name am I witnessing here? I've missed a lot of backstory. But the gelatinous blob went from very large to very small. And that's about all I really caught. I was fixated on some food.
It's a good movie. We'll have to watch it.
Yeah, I know, and I can't wait to watch it while I can appreciate it with both full sober mind and full backstory.
Yeah. Well, back on our seats though.
Okay.
So, like you said, your theater going neighbors were pretty quiet.
Yeah,
Didn't have a
you
lot
know,
to say.
Standard people. Nice couple. I'm
Not
sure.
the case for me.
Lucky.
So I was sandwiched between there were like two like maybe early 20s, late teenage girls that were next to me to
Brilliant.
my left, and then to my right there was a group of three. That was, to my understanding, a grandmother,
Okay.
a mother, and
Hell
then
yeah.
a daughter.
Hell yeah.
And the daughter was like like a teenager, like
Right.
not like a really young kid.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
And
it was
rated
like
R, right? So.
it was, yeah. So, spoiler alert, I guess, before we get into the plot, Michael Myers in the beginning of this movie is not dead, as some of the characters believed him to
That
be.
is true.
And any time that one of those characters has still not found that out, and they're like, Michael Myers is dead, the like daughter, the youngest of the
Right,
group,
right.
just loses it. She just thinks it's like the funniest thing ever, and not just like she's like, like to the point to where the mother had to be like, listen, you have to calm down, and she's like, I'm sorry, it's just so, and like literally tears, like, it's just like, and then it would be so funny too, because then it would be like 2 minutes later, and then another character would be like, but we did it. Michael Myers is dead, and she's just like, and it was just like, it was
love
so
that.
funny too, though,
love
because
that.
then that had the group of teenagers next to me also laughing at
Right,
that,
yeah, of
and
course.
myself, like even
Yeah,
then the fact
that's
that like
hilarious.
everybody around me is
Yeah,
laughing
right,
just
right.
about nothing,
Yeah.
that got me going.
I love the idea that, like, you know, because sensibly, after they find out that Michael Myers is still alive, you know, like, I would just like to hope that that teenager would just be like, and there it is, you know, just like, yeah, that's what I was waiting for. I don't know why, like, the fact that they don't know he's alive still is, like, so hilarious, though.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I feel like we've kind of gotten into this a bit already, but brief thoughts. If you had to say a few words about that.
Oh, it was
movie.
rad.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to be as, like, absolutely brutal. Like, it was metal. They did
Yeah.
not pull punches on the, like, this. Oh, my God. The bodily mutilation. Am I right?
Yeah. Did that
Am
make
I
up
right?
for the 1980s body horror of Halloween 2 for you?
Well, no, because this is what's crazy, right? Like, I was that's the only experience with Halloween I have is Halloween 2 with, like, they do not go all out on, like, the shing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
no,
whatever.
certainly.
Like, oh my God. It's more just like cut away and like find like, you know, with some like red paint smeared on it,
Yeah.
like maybe hanging or something like that. And you're just like, oh, the horror. But it's a
Yeah.
lot of like Psycho type cut with like arm coming down with a knife in shadow, screams like, oh, you know, none of this very literal, much less screaming because the lungs are filling with blood type, like brutal murder.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I feel like this movie is definitely one of the is a great definition of overkill, but not
Yeah.
not in a bad way per se.
Also, kind of ruined some of the mystique of Michael Myers for me.
So yeah, that I do have some things to say to that, and I'll save that till the end.
Yeah.
But I agree.
Because he was flexing some of his creative muscle. Made him seem more human to me.
Yeah.
You know, less like entity of evil.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I think I almost feel the opposite way.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, we'll get to that.
You keep that up, buddy.
Okay, I guess, so before we get into the plot, I think there are some things to note. So, like you said, your only exposure to the Halloween franchise has been Halloween 2.
And
Right.
now.
Well, of course, yeah. Oh, thank you, Mike. I didn't realize.
Uh-huh.
I have seen the first one. I've seen Halloween 2, naturally.
Right.
And I have seen the movie that preceded this, which was like the 2018 Halloween.
Right.
I believe that the previous movie, the 2018 Halloween, I believe that is a direct sequel to Halloween 1. So Halloween 2, I think, and all of the other Halloween sequels, I believe have been like retconned out, which is a bummer.
It's hard for me for Halloween 2, considering that literally takes place mere moments after the end of Halloween 1.
That's true.
It seems like Halloween 1 and 2 combined are like the first
So
story.
here's the thing. So when I first saw Halloween 1 and 2,
Right.
I saw them prior to seeing the 2018 version.
Uh-huh.
And like you said, they go together pretty well. It's the same night, literally picks up moments after the first one ends.
Right.
They even have a fucking like reshoot of the end of the first movie
Right.
in it.
Yes.
And I remember I had forgotten this, but I am pretty sure that in the 2018 Halloween movie, they make it like explicitly clear that like the only movie in the continuity is the first one. And in this movie, because we have some flashback-esque things, that makes sense. Because I think that the scene where we have the like police dude who follows him into the alley, I think that is supposed to be like right after he gets up after being shot 6 times.
Right.
And of course he never goes to the hospital and catches on fire.
Right.
So I think they retconned that. And so it goes Halloween 1, Halloween 2018, and Halloween Kills.
Right. And so all the
Which-
flashbacks and stuff are right. This
Yeah.
makes some sense. Because after like
Which
that,
I wanted to tell you, but of
right.
course I was several
Yeah.
rows away.
Yeah. Because as those flashbacks were happening, I was like, that's not what happened.
Yeah, because I did spend, because again, I think when I first saw the 2018 Halloween, I did make that realization of, like only Halloween 1 is
right.
in the continuity, which I had forgotten about. But because I'm sitting there watching Halloween Kills, and I'm like trying to make sense of the continuity, because again, we just saw Halloween 2.
Right.
And because at first I thought, well, they're just adding some stuff that happened more or less between Halloween 1 and Halloween 2,
Right.
which is not the case, unfortunately.
Well, okay.
Yeah, which is a bummer, because I love Halloween 2.
Oh yeah.
It is fun.
Oh, yeah.
I really love it. Honestly,
100%.
as much as I did enjoy watching this movie, I think I liked Halloween 2 more.
I don't know. I feel like replay value has to go to Halloween Kills for me. Look,
That's fair.
There are
but-
some scenes in Halloween 2 that I will cherish forever, but you'd have to supercut those scenes together and leave out like, you know, the scene with that with the nasty doctor fella singing that Amazing Grace rendition
Oh,
as he
God, I
smokes
forgot
a
about
joint
that.
in the hospital room. Like, we can cut that one out. That's boring. Like, half the security guard just like wandering around with cats scaring him and shit. Like, you can cut some of that out. You know.
Well, yeah, this is certainly a lot more.
That random bystander
like,
child
action-packed.
getting run over and like sandwiched with the cars has to make it. Any scene with Dr. Loomis, maybe leave out the one where he's like in the car and he's like rambling about like before I saw behind his eyes.
I disagree. That's certainly.
Oh well, maybe like the school. Well, you know, at least the part where they go to the school and he's
Yeah.
like, "That's the Gaelic god of death." And you're just like, okay.
Which actually, so in a minute we're gonna have to just get into the plot because
Right.
of how we keep bringing stuff up. But in this movie, there is a lot of like, oh, this person who's gonna be in the movie, well, that was this person
Right.
from the previous like movie. They're all grown up now, you
Right.
know. I was so badly before I realized that they were not considering Halloween 2 to be part of the continuity.
Right.
I was so badly hoping that like there was going to be the kid who fucking got sandwiched by the cars and blown up. I really thought what was going to happen was
How?
so I'll explain it right here. So I really thought that when Lonnie
Right.
was like a kid and he's like stumbles in the street and Michael Myers is walking by, that it was not going to be Michael Myers and it was the kid. And then you'd hear Dr.
Right,
Loomis like,
right.
stop right there. And then you'd see him
Exactly,
blow up. I
right.
wanted that so badly.
I would have loved that. I would have absolutely loved that.
Man.
Oh boy.
Because that would explain, because, I mean, of course, they do some dumb explanation of, well, Lonnie wasn't killed because he was just going to the house.
Right.
But that would explain why Lonnie, like, face-to-face with Michael Myers
Right.
didn't get killed, because it wasn't Michael Myers.
wasn't
It was
him,
just the
yeah.
guy wearing the
Just
same
a random
mask.
bystander, yeah.
Ah,
Friend of those teenagers.
I wanted that so badly.
That would have been brilliant.
Well, now with the context of, unfortunately, Halloween 2 not being part of this continuity,
Ooh.
are we ready to get into the...
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, so...
It starts with dude on his phone.
Mm-hmm. And it's Lonnie's son. Whose name I
Lonnie's
can't remember.
child is dressed as Bonnie from,
let's go Cameron, it looks like.
Cameron. Cameron is dressed as Bonnie from Bonnie and Clyde. So he's walking down the street and he's calling his friend and he's like, man, pick up your phone. Pick up your phone. I think I blew it with Allison and I need you to pick up your phone. Anyway, when you get this, I need you to call me back so we can try to figure this out. In the meantime, stay safe. And so it zooms into the phone ringing on his presumed friend through his pocket because he hasn't answered it. It's in his pocket. But why hasn't he answered it as we zoom out to reveal that his head has been like fucking posted on like one of those pointy Halloween style gates you always see, you know, with like the big spiky metal bars and stuff like that.
I'm
and that's
pretty
just
sure-
gone through his lower jaw.
I'm pretty sure that was a kill from the last movie.
Okay. So we see that. We see that kill. And that's why he's not picking up his phone. So Cameron continues walking down the fence and sees like a body in the road. And he's like, whoa, you okay, man? And the body's not responding because it's a body. And he goes, man, hey, louder. He's like, hey, are you okay? And he's getting no response. So now he's getting worried. And he's like, fuck. So he starts to climb this fence. And he's like, oh, man, I'm coming. And he gets to the fella. And it's Frank.
Yeah, not only is it just a body, it is a body of a police officer.
Right.
Frank. Who again? I assume was this happened in the last movie. I don't quite remember.
Right.
So we see Frank's body, and he is bleeding from his neck, and he is presumed to be dead. But then, so then Cameron pulls off his Bonnie scarf,
Yes.
and starts to put pressure on the wound to stop the bleeding, and then through strained vocalizations, Frank says,
He needs to
There
die.
we go. And he's like, what? Who needs to die?
He needs to die.
And I need to do it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which
Then he, like, passes
he
out or
doesn't.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we see a flashback. Ooh, to Haddonfield, Illinois, on the
Oh,
night
right.
of 1978.
Yeah.
And so here we get one of our first retcons here. And so, again, this is presumably right after the events of Halloween 1, where Michael Myers has been shot by Dr. Loomis 6 times. And he is now in the alleyway, similarly to what happened in Halloween 2, but slightly different. And so he is in the alleyway, and then we see a young officer who appears to be Frank. And he's like, Michael Myers, stop right there. Pa-choom, pa-choom. And he's a terrible shot.
True.
And so Michael Myers just lazily walks away, avoiding bullets.
Yep.
So he then goes to where he saw Michael Myers walk in the direction of, and Michael Myers isn't there. And then, jump scare! The other police officers are there. And they're
Yes.
like, Frank, what the hell are you doing, rookie?
Just like that.
Yeah.
I like that upswing. It's like the John Wayne partner or Pilgrim.
Rookie?
Yeah. It's like, how you doing, rookie?
And yeah, so they're more or less like, well, we got to go find that Michael Myers,
Uh-huh.
rookie.
Rookie.
And so then I don't know. I don't think anything really of note happens. So after Michael Myers has slipped away into the distance and the police officers have reconvened in the alleyway, we get a little brief interaction of a young boy being tormented by, I guess, some neighborhood bullies.
You know how kids are.
And
They can be cruel.
And yeah, I thought that would play more into the story later.
Yeah.
Not really.
Not really.
But anyway, then a police officer drives by and is like, you kids need to go home. Michael Myers is on the loose. And then he drives away haphazardly.
Right.
And then we see one of the young boys, who was named Lonnie, walking home. And as he's walking home / running home, he trips on the sidewalk. And as he looks into the distance while he's laying on the ground, he sees who other than Michael Myers walking in his direction.
True.
And so he naturally, when you hear that Michael Myers, who you have just been told has killed 3 teenagers down the street, is walking towards you, you cower and scream.
Yeah, you freeze in place and apologize profusely.
And then he feels the hands of a grown man touch his shoulder.
Right.
But it's just a police officer.
Yay.
And he's like, "What? What? I gotta get out of here."
Yeah, right. Really should just be thankful he didn't get sandwiched between 2 cars with the way the police in this town operate.
Yeah, honestly. And then the police then decide to investigate the Myers household.
Yeah.
And then, what do you know? Here we are at the old Myers house.
Yeah, they've split off into pairs, so it's him and a friend.
And so he and his partner are poking around the Myers house. He sees a dead dog. Well, not Frank, but his partner sees a dead dog. And he goes, "It's a dead dog."
Right.
And then Frank goes, "What?" He goes, "Nothing."
Yeah, I know. I know. And it's not just a dead dog. Like, it's a dead dog with its entire, like, stomach cavity ripped out, like, ribs exposed. And I can't believe it. He's just like, "Dead dog." And he's like, "What was that?" He's like, never mind. It's nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing of note, partner.
Rookie.
Let's just keep searching for this murderer.
Yeah, so then they start looking all around the house. It's all spooky-ooky. And,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
And
It
then,
was just dark.
and then, not Frank goes upstairs to do some further investigation.
Which was not Frank's first mistake.
Yeah. And he goes to a certain bedroom that I believed belongs to Michael Myers' sister, who he killed as part of his origin story.
Right.
And so then the not Frank fella just starts looking out the window, and then
In the spot where Michael would always stand.
Yeah,
Just kind of
exactly.
gazing out at the window or inward at himself.
who's to say, really?
Uh-huh.
And then Michael Myers runs and tackles him, which is the
Yeah,
first time
yeah.
I have ever seen Michael
Super
Myers
speed.
run. Honestly,
Super speed.
kind of bummed.
Yeah.
I like Michael Myers only walking. So that was,
it was weird how fast he moved out of that.
yeah. I feel like they should have just had him sneak up, but
Yeah.
neither here nor there. So then he and Michael Myers are in a struggle where, they're struggling. And then Frank hears the commotion, and so he runs upstairs to help his partner. But then Michael Myers has him in such a way that he is a nice meat shield for him.
Yep.
And so then Frank's like, Michael, I'm warning you. I'm going to shoot. Put him down. And then he takes the shot and sinks one right into his partner's throat.
Really fucks it up. Oh, my God. It's terrible.
And then I guess Michael Myers drops his partner to the floor.
And just starts walking downstairs instead of murdering this chump.
Yeah. Because I guess as this was happening, Dr. Loomis is like, Michael, come out. And
Right.
so then he's Frank is trying to save his partner while Michael Myers goes outside and is confronted by the large swath of police officers and Dr. Loomis. And the dying police officer's like, oh, tell me that we got him. We got him, didn't we?
Right.
He's like, we got him.
We got him, buddy.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And then he dies.
And then, he goes to the top of the stairs, and Dr. Loomis comes in, and he's just like, tell me exactly what just happened up there. Tell me exactly. Was it Michael? Did Michael kill again? And he's just like, tell me exactly what happened.
At which point, I pulled out my cell phone and I texted him I said, Dr. Loomis steals the show again.
You said Dr. Loom.
Oh, did I really?
Yeah.
Oh, I see it right now. It's my last text to you.
Steals the show again.
Oh, I was trying to do it quickly. I didn't
That
want.
old
I
Dr.
also
Loom.
as
Oh, Dr.
as soon
Loom.
as I heard, oh God, how did I forget to mention this? When not Frank and Frank, when all the police officers are in the alleyway talking to each other after the jump scare,
Right.
one of the police officers says, the doctor says that he shot Michael Myers a few times.
Yeah.
At which point I pulled out my cell phone and I texted Mike six times.
6 times. We know how many times
Yeah.
he shot him. He told us all about it.
But yeah, and
But
then,
that's been retconned, so maybe you shot him once this time.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
It's still 6 in my heart.
Oh, always will be.
But yeah, so then Dr. Loomis and police gang deal with Michael Myers, and flashback ends.
Yep.
We are then cued into Halloween night 2018. We're at a bar. And at this bar, there is a talent show going on, I guess. Yeah.
Yep.
And among the audience is a young couple, and they're just ready to have a nice, relaxing night after all their stressful jobs as being a doctor and a nurse.
Yep.
There is a rambunctious table that is behind them.
Well, it establishes here that, like, the husband, assuming they're married, the husband is kind of, like, timid and has a problem with asserting himself, and the wife has no such problem. She is exuding, like, girl boss energy, like, that's what she got. But not with, like, the connotations. Like, she just has a lot of confidence and clearly, like, owns her space well.
Yeah.
And so she's like, go fucking tell your boss what's up tomorrow and stop, like, taking their shit. And the husband's like, hey, yeah, I'm going to do it. The wife is like, fucking punch him in the face. And so the timid husband, you know, as things get loud behind him, the wife kind of gives him, like, the look that's like, well, here's a perfect opportunity for you to show me that you can assert yourself in any way, shape, or form. And the husband then turns around and is like, hey, whoa, hey. You mind quieting down a little bit? My wife and I are trying to enjoy the talent show. And they're like, oh, we're sorry, our bad. And he's like, hey, it's cool.
And then almost immediately afterwards, we then see one of the people who was at said table on the stage, and they're kind of like the MC of the night. And they're like, well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tommy. He's going to do a whistle thingy.
Bird calls,
yeah. And then Tommy's like, oh, Lonnie, you always put me up to this shit.
Right.
And everybody's like, oh, man, I can't wait to hear some bird whistles.
Let's hope not, because he doesn't get to one.
Yeah, and then he goes, well, ladies and gentlemen, on the night of 1978 Halloween, there was a killer who went around and he killed a bunch of people.
So many people.
And there was one brave babysitter who put it on the line and saved the children she was taking care of and fought against evil. And I was one of those children. And that lady over there was one of those children. And that lady over there was some person who worked at the hospital that Michael Myers came from.
Uh-huh.
And that guy over there had looked at Michael Myers one time.
In the face.
But if Michael Myers ever comes back, and not if, but when, we're going to kill him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, it's like his bit. Because Tommy tells his story, and he's like, and finally to the babysitter, he's like, and wherever she's at now, like, here's to Laurie and whatever she's doing. And then it cuts to her in the truck
Yeah.
with her daughter and granddaughter bleeding out.
Yeah. And
As fire trucks go to the burning house where Michael Myers currently is.
and we get the iconic marketing
Yeah.
line, "Let it burn!"
Let him burn.
But of course they can't hear because they're in fire trucks.
Yeah, she's screaming at cars.
Yeah, and so then everybody is hanging out. This guy, Tommy.
And they're all feeling real brave, by the way.
Oh, very.
Because he's just like, if Michael Myers ever comes back, we don't fear him. We'll kill his ass. And everyone's like, yeah, we'll kill his ass.
Yeah.
Woo, let's get drunk.
And so then Tommy's sitting at the bar, and then our timid husband decides to go buy this guy a beer and say, hey, we're sorry for telling you and your friend table to shut up.
Yeah.
We didn't realize. He's like, don't worry
They're
about
all
it.
Michael Myers survivors or what have you.
Yeah.
And they're talking to the bartender who's like, I inherited this bar from my granddaddy. And the way he would deal with nuisances is with his old trusty friend, old Huckleberry, and then it like shows a bat that has old Huckleberry carved into it. Mm-hmm. And just a note for that iconic bat.
Yeah, that's fair. And so then the night goes on. Everybody's hanging out, having fun.
So the firefighters go to do their jobs, but they fail on account of all of them die.
I really liked how so the firefighters go in to do their job,
Right.
And one of them falls through the burning floor, as
Yep.
I imagine happens sometimes
Yeah.
when you're trying
Floor
to put
collapse.
out a fire.
Yeah.
And so he uses his fireman doodad that I imagine is probably a real thing, where he's
Right.
like, "Hey, Mayday, Mayday, I'm down here, help me out." And so while he's like chilling there waiting for somebody to come by, there's just like a garage door that's just like, well, time for me to open up. And as that door opens up, we see a figure who is no one else but Michael Myers himself.
Oh my God.
And yeah, so he, I don't know if he picks up a tool of the firefighters or if there was just some other kind of like
No,
sharp
he does.
tool.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He picks up like, the fireman's axe thing.
But yeah, so he brutally murders him.
Yeah.
As Michael Myers tends to do. And then we see another firefighter who then is like, "Hey, Chuck, I can't see you through all the smoke." Well, I'm just going to reach my hand out. And then, presuming you don't grab it in a couple minutes, I will assume you're dead.
Yeah, it's weird because he's shouting like, "Grab my hand,
Yeah.
grab my hand now!" And, it's
And then
like,
Michael
okay.
Myers made the honest mistake that anybody could make. He's like, "Oh, did he say Michael grab my
Yeah,
hand?" Well,
right.
of course I'll do that. And so then he grabs his hand.
Yep.
And then mortars him.
Mortis him is right. We don't get to see how though.
Yeah. And then we have one of the most cinematic shots in the movie, where Michael Myers emerges from the burning building,
Right.
with the fireman sharp tool in hand, and is just ready to throw down.
Yeah, evidently.
Yeah, and all
This
the
is all
firefighters,
the firemen, evidently.
Yeah, they're very quick to be like, "Oh, well, this was bound to happen sooner or later."
Right.
They've all been hanging out with Tommy, so they know the deal.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, so they're all just ready to duke it out, and Michael Myers kills them all. With
Yeah, but
no
it's
problem.
so weird because he kills them in like an almost like martial arts type.
Yeah,
throwdown. Like,
he
starts
did.
doing like reversals and shit.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird.
I agree. I remember my first thought was that as well, of him just like dodging and
Yeah, like blocks some axe shots,
Yeah.
like grabs it, you know.
Also, I really like that the first person that he kills once he goes outside, like their line of defense was the fire hose.
Yeah.
Which, like, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
I've never been shot
It would
at
be
by a
understandable
fireman's
if it were
hose.
Michael Myers, yeah.
Well, also just additionally, like, I imagine that typically those things have pretty high pressure water coming out. That did not seem to be the case for this particular
No,
hose.
it didn't. It didn't look like that at all. It didn't look like a geyser or anything.
No, it very much looked like the garden
Yeah, it was
hose
pretty
that like
weak.
had a couple like
Yeah,
holes
it
in
looked
it.
bad, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, and it did not do anything to stop old Michael.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
Yeah, no, it's weird that
everybody's
he was
dead.
like dodging stuff. I think it would have been way much better if he was just like this kind of force where
Yeah,
like,
if he was tanking some hits. you
exactly,
know?
yeah, where it's like, exactly that. Because he just kind of marches steadily forward. So if like he took like an axe to the back and then
Mm-hmm.
just like that axe just stayed in his back as he just like kept murdering people.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that would have been much more fitting as opposed to like blocking axes and like
The only
dueling
thing I
stuff.
can say as to why I think they might have not done that, which again, I agree, I think they should have done that.
Right.
I think they were still at that point, well, for most of the movie, really, kind of trying to bury the lead of like, is Michael Myers just a mortal man?
Oh,
Or not.
I don't know.
But well, I don't know, because
I
like,
never
he
got
doesn't-
that fucking impression from the moment he stepped out of that on fire building.
No, that's very fair. Well, I don't. Maybe actually, come to think of it, maybe that's why he was behind that garage door. Maybe that was like the writers trying to be like, see, he found a way to keep himself safe from the fire,
Whatever.
which is stupid,
I don't
but
believe them
yeah.
if that's the case.
very well. But
How did
yeah,
he get out of that burning building?
uh,
Yeah, exactly.
fire. He probably just piled the bodies of the dead firefighters to make a
Right.
makeshift ladder of sorts.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, never mind. I take my point back.
That was actually more of a joke. I don't know how he did it.
No, it sounds right to me.
But yeah, so bunch of dead firefighters.
But when he did that like Saw kill, that seemed very Michael Myers-y, where he just like grabbed that saw and put it
I
back
agree.
in
That
guy's
one was
face.
pretty there.
That was pretty brute strength.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree though about the like whole like dodging and like
weird, fucking strange.
I do kind of wish though that Michael Myers and his whole like jumpsuit kind of thing was doing some like hapkido, like
like sweeps and shit. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
yeah, like if they're gonna lean into it, lean all the way into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would have been terrific. Get some wires.
But yeah, so then we're left with a bunch of dead firemen.
Yeah.
And I believe we then are shown a nice little couple who are relaxing in their home while the wife, and they're a bit of an older couple. The wife flies a little drone, and she's having some trouble with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the husband, being a cute old man husband, oh, haha, my wife. Yeah. And, he's a simp, you could say.
Yeah, I suppose you could.
Yeah.
Could you? I don't know if you could.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think.
I got simp energy.
You think?
I thought
I
so.
just got old man energy where she's like, my wife, what a battle axe. Like that kind of thing. Yeah.
I think there's a fine line between those.
What I like about this scene is that she shows how adept she is at flying the drone.
Uh-huh.
Because like she does like barrel rolls and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, it hits like a wall and crashes. And then the old man's just like, you can't fly that thing at all. And I'm like, yeah, you fool.
So she flies this drone. It hits like a wall and falls. And then the husband, as Mike says, does the whole, you can't fly that thing. Let me see it. And then he takes the controller, and immediately when he picks it up, it comes like flying out of the doorway in which it had landed, as if someone had thrown it.
Right.
And he goes, "What the hell?
Right.
Is someone in here?" And then they go, "Hey, knock it off.
Right.
Is somebody in here?"
Yeah.
And then he goes to investigate, and he slowly moves over to that doorway.
Yeah.
So he just creeps over to that doorway, and he pokes his head in, and he's, "Hello?" And then he flips on the light, and there's Michael Myers just
Yeah.
hanging out in the bathroom, and he
Yeah.
immediately, I think more or less, crushes a light bulb with his hand to turn off the
Myers,
light.
Yeah.
And then I guess this guy is new to town and does not know the lore of Michael Myers. And he
Right.
goes, "There's a man in a monster mask in the bathroom."
Yeah, there's a big man in a monster mask in our bathroom as he like starts shutting the doors.
And locking them,
Yeah.
which, good on him.
Right. And the wife is like, what does he want? / like, why is he here? And he's just like, who gives a shit? Call the police.
And before he can finish that last word of the sentence, Michael Myers reaches his hand through the glass window
Yeah.
and starts bashing his head up against the window
Yeah,
frame.
Pretty brutal. Pretty brutal stuff.
And she goes, "Ah!"
Yeah, starts to pull him out a window and then like brings his head down on some of the shattered glass and it goes through his throat. So that's
Yeah.
not great for
And then
life.
he does the whole
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
Michael
then,
Myers keeps dragging him out, like throws him back in and stuff.
yeah.
And the
so-
wife runs to the kitchen to grab her favorite knife.
Well, first she tries to unlock the door, but for whatever reason has trouble with it, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
And then grabs her favorite knife.
Right.
And then Michael Myers says, "Well,
That knife is pretty long, but you know what's longer than a knife?
a fluorescent light bulb."
Yeah, exactly. And he rips it out from the stove and breaks it, which still maintains some of its length.
Mm-hmm. And then he,
Kind of casually.
yeah, he doesn't like split any hairs. He doesn't waste any time. He just goes, boop, and sticks
Yeah.
it right through her throat.
Yeah, just a little bit up into the upper area, but she's still like alive.
Yeah,
She's
he like
just
wiggles it
moving.
around a little bit. She's like,
Yeah. Yeah, so she drops.
uh-huh. And then you see her husband, who is still
Yeah, yeah.
And Michael Myers presumably grabs him by the legs and drags him because you just
Yeah.
see his body just whoop.
Yeah, brings him back
Leaving
towards,
a
towards the wife
puddle
in the
of blood.
kitchen. Yeah.
And then the wife is like leaning up against a thing,
The door,
dying.
really.
and clearly unable to speak due to the hole left in her throat from the
do that.
fluorescent light bulb.
Yeah.
And then Michael Myers just, I guess, just like really just trying to be like, really trying to rub salt in the wound, I guess.
Nah, I think he's just trying to find a good knife for killing the rest of the people he intends to kill. But as he's going through the knife set that these people own, none of them are acceptable.
I do like that as an explanation a lot more than him just being like, you see this?
Yeah, well, of course, yeah.
Well,
'cause
all the
that
same.
Would be stupid.
Yeah, so then he
No,
throws
to me it seems
the
like
body.
he's knife testing, and he's just like, "How about this one? Nah, not this one.
I
Where
do
am I
like
gonna
that,
put this
yeah.
back?" And then he turns around and shoves it in the guy's back.
But yeah, so he does a lot of stabbing.
Dude, he
on
must have
the
trained. He has a
body.
lot of economy of motion with that stuff. It's very like,
Yeah.
big one single jab, like very firm, very well placed.
Yeah, well, he's had a lot of practice.
Yeah, evidently, my God, his stabbing arm is strong.
It's like that video you watch where he's just at the gym. He's like, just like
yeah, exactly. Right.
he's just like doing like resistance training on his stabbing hand. Like,
Just over. Yeah, so
Uh,
that old man becomes like a knife pin cushion.
the old lady presumably bleeds out
Watches
and
it
dies.
before she dies. Yeah, really painful stuff for them. I'm sure you know.
Yeah. So then I guess we cut to the brutal scene of all the dead firefighters, and we have a slew of police officers who are hanging out, checking out the scene. The mayor is there, I think, and then we see a familiar face. We see the old police chief who had his daughter killed in the first movie. Party at the bar.
Bam.
And so I believe more or less everybody's having a party at the bar, and there's a newscast on the TV that is more
And
or less
phones
like,
going off.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's how people get their information these days. And we
I know I get buzzed for news. All
Yeah.
my news
All the
sites
time.
send me notifications. Local news at that.
and so more or less we hear, there's been a string of brutal murders.
Could you imagine if your phone notification system went off every time there was a murder in your area? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because of our area, but it would never end. Every day.
It's been so long since I've seen the first one. I'm trying to think of like what the deal is as far as like if the town knows Michael Myers is out. I guess not, because it seems like it's news to everybody. So I guess only people who interacted with Michael Myers in the previous film are aware that he is out of the institution and running amok. But anyway, there's a news thingy that's more or less like, well, there's a string of murders that have happened, and I can't think of anyone who could have done that. And that's the newscast. And then pretty much Tommy and other people at the bar. Like,
Well, real quick. The newscast goes, there's like 3 people who have been murdered tonight. Also, 2 insane people escaped the asylum recently after a bus transporting insane people crashed.
which again I think was something that we actually saw in the first movie, or
Okay.
not like the previous one.
Sure. And they're like, we haven't proven that these crazy people are connected to these murders, but we figure we'll just trail that story after this one for the heck of it.
And so then Tommy and gang in the bar are like, well, that's Michael Myers if I've ever seen Michael Myers.
Right.
The timid husband and the girl boss wife decide, well, this seems like our cue to go home. And so then they leave the bar and they start heading towards their car. And then the timid husband goes, oh, I forgot my prop for my costume.
Yep.
I better leave you in the dark while there's a killer on the loose.
Yeah, go in the car.
BRB. And then he goes back to the bar. She gets in the car and she looks in the back seat and a person in this car.
A person in the car.
And she gets out quickly because she's not one to take no death in a car. And she goes, it's Michael Myers. It's Michael Myers. And then she goes to timid husband and says, go look. And he's like, what? No, I'm not going to do that. So then they go back into the bar and they're like, hey, sorry to bother you. Again, so nice meeting you. Your speech was wonderful. We think Michael Myers is in her car.
They don't say they think Michael Myers is in their car.
I'm being coy.
Well, they weren't.
But yeah, they go, "Hey, Michael Myers is in our car. You mind taking a look at that?" And then they go, "Well, this seems like a job for what's the name?"
Mob rule. What?
I was gonna say the bat,
Right.
but that too.
Old Huckleberry.
Well, this seems like a job for old Huckleberry and Mob Rule. And yeah, so they decide, well, let's surround this car and give Michael Myers a run for his money.
Yes, and by run for his money, we mean murder him.
Yeah, exactly that.
And
so,
by murder Michael Myers, we mean murder whoever's in this car.
Yeah. So so they go outside, and timid husband and wife are like, "There he is! I see him in the car. He's not wearing his mask. That's him. That's Michael Myers, all right."
Yep.
And so then Tommy decides to be the one to do the deed, and so he's like, "Michael, you come on out here so we can beat you to death."
Yeah.
And so then, surprisingly, the person who is in the car, presumably Michael Myers, says, "You know what? I am not going to do that." And so they drive hurriedly away.
Yeah. And
However,
immediately crash.
yes, immediately crash into like an electrical transformer or some shit.
Or whatever, yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
this criminally insane individual cannot
Operate a motor
drive
vehicle.
a car. Yeah.
And so then the mob does their mob thing and heads over to the car. And they're like, "Michael Myers is on the loose. We've got to get him."
Yep. I don't know if this is the first time he says evil dies tonight.
Probably
That
says
becomes
that
a mantra at some point. Evil dies tonight.
Yeah, he probably mutters that a few times.
Sure. Lori and family are over at the hospital, see? And Lori had surgery done on her, see? Basically, they're like, all
Listen
right.
here, see?
Yeah, look here.
I got a scoop for you. Laurie's in the hospital.
So yeah, they're performing surgery on Lori, and the mother and the granddaughter are like washing the blood off their hands and coping with their trauma, as one does when, you know, their father/husband is murdered.
Which apparently happened in the previous movie.
Yeah, I guess so. So Lori gets her stomach stapled back together and is bed resting.
Mm-hmm. And everybody in this hospital is like, well, we might have lost our husband, father, a loved one, but you know what? At least we can rest easy knowing that Michael Myers is dead. Oh man, that's gold.
Right. Well, basically, like Tommy and son, because the son is with.
Oh, Lonnie,
Yeah.
not Tommy.
Well, Tommy also comes back in.
But yeah, but not Tommy and son.
Oh yeah, Tommy doesn't have a son.
Yeah.
Not after. Anyway, so Cameron busts in the hospital with Lonnie, and Tommy, assumably behind. But Cameron sees Allison, and Allison sees Cameron, and is like, "Oh my God, like Allison, Cameron," and the injured officer is being wheeled in and stuff like that. Frank, right? So Cameron's like, "Hey, Allison, girlfriend that I blew it with, Michael Myers is still alive," and she's like, "Oh God, why?" And he's like, "But here's the thing: it's okay that Michael Myers is still alive."
Because that means we get
got
to
5
kill
guys
him.
from the bar. And we're gonna go ahead and get him. And so he's very confident in this plan. He goes, "Tommy's getting everybody together, see? And we're all gonna grab ourselves a bunch of weapons and take him out. We're gonna hunt him down and we're gonna find him. He's terrorized this town long enough, and we're gonna go after him. Why don't you come with us?" And Allison goes, "Yeah.
I think I will do just that.
She's like, "Yeah, I'm coming with you 100%. The man murdered my father. I can go kill him now. Yeah, okay, I'm down for that." And so she starts to walk towards that when her mother grabs her and says, "If Michael Myers is still alive, he's coming here." Because I have a theory, you see. Michael Myers does all this murdering and stuff like that. But as he murders, he's really just murdering on his way to one location, and that's wherever your grandmother is. So, if your grandmother is here in Memorial Hospital, Michael Myers is coming here. So you don't need to go
a
hunting for
hospital
him.
that canonically she has never been to before.
Yeah, from what we understand, she has no history in. But Michael Myers is on his way here. So, first off, if you're interested in seeing where Michael Myers is going, wait here, he'll arrive here. But second off, you shouldn't be interested in where Michael Myers is going, and shouldn't be trying to kill him at all, because he's a monstrous threat. And,
So let me make sure you follow me. I don't want you to be anywhere near Michael Myers.
Right.
So you should not go out to search for Michael Myers and be near Michael Myers.
Right.
Also, Michael Myers is probably going to come here. So you should stay here. But I don't want you seeing Michael Myers. Do you understand?
Yes, because the mother, for a woman who has just come fresh off an encounter fighting Michael Myers, seems supremely confident in the idea that if she just goes to the hospital staff and goes, hey, you got protocols for when crazy psycho killers come try to murder in your hospital, don't you? You got security and things.
Wait, what's that? You don't have security? Well, still, come
Shouldn't
on.
you have security? Anyway, she says, look, Allison, you go be with your grandmother and wait by her for when she wakes up. And you do not go on a hunting party with these people. And Allison kind of cries, she stifles tears and pain for not being able to go on the hunt for this serial murderer fella. And goes into the hospital room with her grandmother.
While in the hospital room with her grandmother, she has a moment of reflection, holding a necklace that I can only assume from context clues maybe belonged to her father or something. Or maybe she loves Jesus. And
Was it a Jesus necklace?
I don't know, it looked like a cross or something.
It did look kind of crossy.
Yeah. She prayed to Joshua. And
Praise Joshua.
And she grabbed the knife out of her pocket that she snuck into the hospital.
Oh my god!
I that was so. This again confused me.
Yeah.
Because thinking about how ridiculous it was that she snuck this machete into the hospital.
Yeah, I mean she's packing some serious phallic imagery here.
I audibly laughed at the notion of her bringing that into the hospital,
Yeah, right,
which
right.
nobody else around me laughed.
Right,
so
right,
here I am
right,
the
yeah.
asshole.
Well, you just don't know what's actually funny, evidently.
I guess not. Yeah, and so she wraps it up in a shirt or something, and
Yes.
says, "Here you go, Grandma," and leaves it next to
For
her
when you need it.
unconscious grandmother's head.
Right, yeah, right next to it too.
And then she decides to go hunting Michael Myers.
Yep. So she runs out and decides to join the crew. While
Tommy and Lonnie and Cameron are all admiring the weaponry that they have,
yeah,
and they're like, "Well, take your pick."
this movie really leans into like the fetishization of weaponry and like
Yeah.
brutal murder.
Woo!
But like, yeah, the people are getting really excited about like the guns. Like, I'm shocked like you didn't like hold one up and be like, this one's named governance, like shit like that, right? Like none of that, I guess. But yeah, he's just like, you got permits for these, like Lonnie, and he's like, some of them, and yeah, so they start grabbing weapons, and Allison comes up. And they're like, oh, you joining the party? And she's like, yeah. And they're like, grab whichever one you like most. And she grabs a shotgun. And it's like, listen. So they're ready to go on the hunt. Meanwhile, back in the neighborhood,
So we see in a house that is oddly familiar.
Little John and Big John preparing for Halloween.
Yeah.
Listening to records, getting high. But it's Little John and Big John.
But yeah, so here we're at a house that is eerily familiar for some reason.
I can't imagine why.
Me either. And so we are introduced to a lovely couple that are known as Big John and Little John.
Yeah.
And as Mike's song suggests, they're hanging out, getting ready for Halloween, and getting high.
Well, at least Big John is. Little John is like, nah.
But yeah, so then they're relaxing in their home, and they hear a knock on the door. How
Yep.
curious!
Yeah.
And so they go to check it out after noting it's too late for trick or treaters to be out.
Yeah, it's pretty late.
And so they open the door and they see a little girl, and she's distraught.
Yeah.
And she says, Mister, we came by here a couple hours ago, and there was a candy bar, and it had a rusted razor blade in it. And my friend, she swallowed it, and she's bleeding.
Right.
Please, we need help. And so then Little John calls to Big John, who then comes out, and both Johns are now outside of their home and trying their best to calm this little girl and tend to the the bleeding girl on
Yeah.
the sidewalk, and they see a pile of vomit with a rusty razor blade in it. They're like, "Oh God, there it is! Oh, what are we gonna do? We need to call." And then the door closes to their home,
Yeah. So someone just went in their house.
and they say, "Did someone just go in our house?"
Yeah.
And then, haha, got you.
Yeah.
We're not dead. We're pranksters.
Yeah, and a third member of their party in a skeleton costume comes out, and we see them emptying the entire candy bowl into their bag, and they just go, "We got all your candy."
And they're like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
You know what? Do you have any idea what this house is? And they're like, "What do we care?"
Right.
And he's like,
We're like, "No, we don't," and "No, we don't."
they're like, "Well, you see, there was a little boy named Michael Myers, and he stabbed his sister in the tits." And then everybody's, "Oh."
Because they know these are the kind of streetwise kids
Yeah.
you see.
And they go, "We can still hear on particularly windy nights
Yeah.
the sound of the ghost of Michael Myers' sister going, Michael Myers, Michael Myers,
Right.
woo!" And yeah,
Then they shout at the kids and sufficiently scare them away.
and they run off.
Yeah. So basically, their whole thing is like, you don't fuck with people who live in Michael Myers' house because it's the Myers house.
Ooh.
Ooh, which I'm sure won't come back to bite them at all.
Nah, not at all. Which now seems like a good time to mention. I swear to God, if I see another fucking stupid razor blade in candy thing, I'm gonna lose it. I hate it. It's so dumb.
Well, at least this one, they made sure it was pointed out as a ruse.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, so out of the 3 movies that we have watched for Halloween, and notably, only 3 of them. Well, I guess Candyman wasn't necessarily Halloween themed, but 2 of which were specifically themed around the holiday of Halloween.
Right.
Both of those had the razor blade candy trope, and another one, which was not explicitly Halloween themed but still a horror movie, also had that same thing.
Right.
So we're 3 for 4 here.
Dude, you know, one of these years, someone's actually going to do it. I don't know how they would pull it off, but someone's actually going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is kind of surprising because
But, like, someone's going to do it just because it gets perpetuated so much.
well, that's
as an
exactly
idea
it. That's
that
what I was
people
going
would
to
do.
So I'm sure you know this, but I'll say for our listeners, for anybody who is unaware, there has not been any actual cases of anybody poisoning or putting harmful things in candy ever. The only time anything even remotely similar happened was there was one time where some kids had, I believe, cyanide put in pixie sticks. And then it turned out that it was not some sick, twisted fella doing that for kicks. It was actually the father of the kids who were poisoned, and it was all a conspiracy to get insurance money
Yeah.
for life insurance policies he had taken out on the kids or something of that nature. But even aside from that, there have been no real cases of that ever that have been reported, which is crazy because, again, honestly, I'm surprised that there haven't been at least 1 or 2 like people who have done it because of how perpetuated it gets. But no, there's never been anything like that.
And I don't know how that gets, like, turned into, like, razor blades in candy.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it just kind of has more of a bite to it than poison.
Yeah, but I seriously
powder.
try to wrap my head around how someone would get a razor blade in candy
Yeah.
without someone fucking noticing.
Mm-hmm.
Or without, yeah, like, how would you pull it off? The only thing I could think of would be, like, a caramel-covered apple. Because you could, like, put the razor blade in
Mm-hmm.
and then coat it sufficiently in caramel that, like, the little razor blade incision wouldn't
Even
be
still,
evident.
though, it's like an apple is round and a razor blade is not. So
Right.
even if you were to sufficiently cover it in caramel apple or in caramel, there would just be like this flat surface that is not contoured to the edges of the apple, like sticking out. You know what I mean?
I don't know about sticking out. Because you could fit a full razor blade in an apple.
You know that okay? I was thinking stupidly, like just like laying the razor, like not sticking it into the apple, just like putting it like on the side. of
Well, at
the
least you know you'd never get away with it. But, like, even then, I don't know that someone would, like, swallow that as much as, like, they'd have a really unpleasant fucking bite and then just be like, what the fuck? Is this a fucking razor blade? Yeah, but like with like candy, like Hershey bars, I don't know how the fuck you'd pull that off. Like first off, you have to get it inside the actual thing. Like never mind just like re-vacuum sealing like the wrapper, which I mean I suppose is simple enough. But like you have to get it into the actual candy without not a fucking chance with Kit Kat bars, not a fucking chance with like Hershey's. Hard candy, good luck.
Yeah.
Anything that you can see through, not a chance. Like, seriously, you can't do it unless you can reapply, like, the coating to things after you do stuff. So it doesn't work with any, like, hard chocolate candies. It'd have to be, like, a Milky Way or something, right?
Yeah.
And even those, I don't know if they have, like, the length to really sustain it. I don't know. It seems like a lot of work to go. I'm like, how many razor blades are you going to buy? And you're going to start, like, a personal sweatshop in your home for, like, one day to get that many candy bars razor bladed up? Like, who's going to help you do that? Just for what? Like, just to get caught? It seems silly. It seems absolutely silly. Which is probably why no one in the history of anyone ever has done it.
Yeah.
But one of these days, I swear to Christ, someone's going to do it just to one.
Yeah.
Because the idea gets put out there. It's a thought mutation.
Yeah,
at
again,
this point.
I mean, I am, frankly, I'm surprised, I'm surprised there hasn't been at least one real thing.
Yeah, already. Yeah, exactly. But one of these years, it's bound to happen. Someone's going to be twistedly inspired by the whole tale.
You've heard it once, you've heard it a million times. Razor blade candy.
Yeah.
Now we have our several teams that are searching through Haddonfield to find Michael Myers.
Yep.
One of the teams in particular is I can't remember the name of the lady, but the other child who was babysat by Lori
Right.
with Tommy. Let's just call her Lily or something. That was something along those lines.
Sure.
And then there was I think Meredith or something along those lines.
Sure.
Who was the orderly nurse lady who I think appeared in the first Halloween and was attacked by Michael Myers and survived.
Right.
And then we have our timid husband and girl boss wife.
Yeah.
And so they're riding around looking for Michael Myers. And they also have been equipped with weapons. Yeah, so as they're driving through Haddonfield, they notice a playground. And on this playground, it is not empty as you might imagine it to be on a late Halloween Eve. Nonetheless, a late Halloween Eve where Michael Myers has been purported to be running around.
Right.
There are a couple kids swinging on the swing set.
Yeah, just having a good old time.
And so Lily decides, you know what, this ain't right.
Yeah,
I'm
we
going to tell these
to
kids
go home.
to beat it. And so she parks the car, and she does just that. She goes right over to the swing sets, and she says, hey, little kids, what the F are you doing?
Right.
Go home. And they're like, yeah, right. We're not scared of some stupid story. We're not babies. And then she's like, what? Where are your parents? She's like, we're not babies.
Yeah.
She's like, besides, we're waiting for our friend. Then offhandedly, they're like, yeah, and there's some guy with a mask. We think he's some kind of creep or something. He keeps wanting to play hide and seek. He keeps just popping up here and there. And then immediately Lily is like, what?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Where is this guy? She's like, I don't know. He's just popping up here and there. Well, what do you know? There he is over there.
like that guy.
Hey!
Right.
And then, what do you know? Off in the distance, right by the parked car,
Yeah, seriously, right behind it.
is Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And what does he have in his hand? But a skeleton mask that has
Yeah.
been stained red with
Yeah.
perhaps blood.
We definitely got that kid.
and then the other kids, I guess, have really good eyesight, and they go, "Wait, is that Kyle's mask?"
Right.
And then immediately Lily's like, "Get the hell out of here! Go, 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 go! Run, run,
like
run!"
he's going to murder you.
Yeah, and so then the kids do just that, and they
Abscond.
leave. Yeah, and so then the rest of the party in the car is like, I hear shouting, and then they look in the rearview mirror and see Michael Myers more or less like 10 feet away from them, and are like, huh. Well,
Right.
this is no good.
Right.
And then Michael Myers, I guess, just jumps on the top of the car.
just right up there, full vertical.
Yeah, he climbs on top of the car, and they're all like, well, that's not good. And so Meredith then pulls out her revolver, ready to fire at Michael Myers at the given chance.
Right.
There is something that goes on the windshield, and she immediately fires. Pachoo!
Right.
And it turns out to be the mask of the child,
Yeah.
not Michael Myers' head, as she might have hoped.
Yeah, exactly.
And then timid husband, I think, decides, you know what? I'm going to get in the driver's seat of this car and move it, because that seems to be our
seems to be
best chance
wise,
of getting
yeah.
out of here. And then for whatever reason, that doesn't happen. So he just hangs out in the back.
Right.
And Michael Myers just keeps poking his hands here and there.
What I love
and,
is that the old woman shoots out the window of the car.
Yeah.
Like, shoots out the passenger window of the car so it completely shatters, and then locks all the doors.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no,
which
it
was
was-
hilarious to me, because she shoots out a window. Pretty clear security flaw with shooting out the window when you're trying to keep yourself safe in the car. But anyway, after she shoots out the window, she's like, "Oh, let me lock all the doors now." I'm like, you just shot out the window. Like, you feel like it's pretty open. But whatever, you do you.
And both girl boss wife and timid husband are like, Meredith, maybe unlock the doors. Which I don't think she does. But then Michael Myers then reaches through the now broken window and grabs a clump of her hair.
Yeah. Rips it out of her
And
head.
I think girl boss wife takes the opportunity to get out of the car.
Yeah.
And she has taken the gun from timid husband and is like, I'm gonna stop this from happening now.
Yeah.
And timid husband is then also trying to get the hair of Meredith out of Michael Myers' hand. However, what officially does the trick is a clump of her hair getting torn right out of her skull.
Yeah, right.
And then Michael Myers decides, you know what, I'm going to get off of the top of this car.
Yep.
And I'm gonna do some stabbing. So
Well,
he
it's important to note that the other woman, Lily, I guess we're calling her, grabbed one of the pillowcases that the kid was using to collect
yes,
candy.
that's correct.
And I guess there's just bricks on the side of this swing set.
I was also wondering
Because
what
she
was happening.
starts
I couldn't
loading up
remember.
this pillowcase with bricks to come help. In case you're wondering, like, so it seems like that woman who told the children to run away saw Michael Myers, and now she sees that he's on the car and assaulting the crew. So what's she doing to amend this? And what she's doing is currently trying to prepare a bag of bricks that she's loading up to make like a swinging kind of thing with.
That's correct.
Yes.
And so then Michael Myers decides to get out of the car and do some stabbing, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then he opens the driver's side door and starts to encroach upon Meredith.
Yeah, really invading her personal space.
Yeah. And then Meredith pulls out her gun
Yep.
and says, "This is for Dr. Loomis."
Right.
Click, click, click.
Yeah.
And then finds out that very similarly to Dr. Loomis, she tried to shoot him 6 times.
Yeah.
Um,
I missed everyone too.
yeah. And so then Michael Myers takes this opportunity to stab her,
Yep.
and she dies.
Yep.
And then timid husband says, you know what? I'm going to be the hero here. And I think he takes his stethoscope for his costume and tries to do the like just over the neck and using the headrest as like leverage of some sort,
Yeah.
strangle Michael Myers. But it doesn't work too well because Michael Myers just turns his head and says, doesn't say, but says with his non-existent eyes, really?
Yeah, right.
And then stabs him in the face.
Through the eyeball.
Yeah.
Right into the brain area. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then girl boss wife is like, you know what? I think now's my time to start
I got
shooting.
this deagle.
Yeah, so she starts shooting with the big old pistol, and it is narrowly missing Michael Myers each time.
Yeah.
And then so she starts. This is so silly. She starts getting closer and closer to the car, ready to take her kill shot.
Right.
And then Michael Myers kicks the driver's side door open, which then bumps into the gun and changes the trajectory of the barrel. So it is not facing Michael Myers, in fact, anymore, but it is now facing her own head. And I guess that she had already committed to pulling the trigger,
yeah.
and shoots herself in the head.
Yeah. This is one of those moments where I'm like, does Michael Myers have access to like some ethereal death force? Because I guess the thing where it's like, I don't know if you ever seen like the Final Destination movies, where it seems like some weird ghostly type phantom energy is like making all the elements combine to cause death.
Yeah.
It's like he did that with the car door and this gun. Like he's just like, pah, like, Jesus Christ, does he have like pre-vision with these things? Or he's like, and then she'll come towards me and then I'll throw the door at this moment. And then she shoots herself in the head. I'm like, Jesus, dude, he's just like a force of death. He's not even like killing these people anymore.
Yeah, he's just letting death happen.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so then he gets out of the car, I guess, and is more or less just like ready to take his next victim.
Yep.
But she's not having it. She comes prepared with her bag o' bricks and hits him with it.
Clocks him.
Yeah. And then he's like, ow, damn, that hurt. And then she
rips his mask off a little bit.
Ah, that's true. Yeah, that's how
Which
she really
stalls him a
saves
bit.
herself.
Yeah.
Because he does not like having his mask off of his face. She tries to dip into the woods, and he slowly chases after her. And one of the things that one of the people next to me said, and I have to agree, is I don't know why she didn't just run straight. She was like really trying to do
No
like
fucking clue.
she was doing like the whole thing where they say when you're getting chased by like an alligator, you're supposed to run like a zigzag pattern because they like can't turn, I
can't
guess, or
track
something
that
like
well.
that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so she was trying that and it was not quite working.
No, I don't think so.
But I mean, I guess it works enough because then she gets out of his sight.
Yeah.
And then we have a tense moment where he looks around and we hear the breathing through his mask. And she goes, ah, ah.
Yeah.
And then it cuts. So, some stuff happens, clearly not important.
Right.
And then at some point, Tommy and gang come to the same playground. And, first they see the car, and it is covered in blood.
Yeah.
But curious, there are no bodies in this car. So then, after further investigation, they see that at the playground, Michael Myers has decorated the bodies with
tastefully
masks,
strewn them
and
about.
has put them all around.
On a merry-go-round, hanging from a swing set.
And there's candy, just thrown
really decorated
everywhere.
it up.
Yeah, and they're like, "Wow, this really sucks."
Yeah.
And then I think Allison then does some peeking around in the woods and sees Lily just hanging out next to this bridge where she was hiding. And she goes, guys, I found something.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, and then bada bing, bada boom, they take her to the hospital where chaos is beginning to ensue because plenty of people are either dead or dying thanks to Mr. Michael Myers.
Right.
And,
Jamie Lee Curtis wakes up. The mom is in there with Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis is like, we killed Michael Myers, and the mom, who definitely knows that Michael Myers is not dead, goes, yeah. Yeah, we got him. And then Frank gets wheeled in bedside next to her, like Frank the cop fella whose throat was slit, comes in next to her. And now Jamie Lee Curtis is like, Frank, we got him. We got Michael Myers.
And he's like, it's about time.
And
And
then-
that's when the person next to me really lost it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course they did. And then the nurse is like, I have some morphine for you, Frank.
He's like, lay it on me.
And Jamie Lee is like, hey, do my friend a favor and make it a double. And, yeah. And then Tommy busts into the hospital room and is like,
Michael Myers is not dead.
he is still alive. We're fighting him. We're fighting him now. And the mother is maybe like, Allison went with him, but Allison's back in now or something. Well, basically, Jamie Lee Curtis does like some like Rambo shit.
Yeah.
Like she sits up and the mom is like, no, you don't have to do this. She's like, we always fight him. And the mom's like, there is a system for these things. And Jamie Lee is like, the system failed. Now get out of my fucking way.
I remember that was another thing where the person next to me was like,
Yeah,
like
of
the
course.
system
Yeah,
did fail.
of course you would. Yeah, it's just like sometimes you gotta take the law into your own hands, pilgrim. And yeah, so she gets out of the bed and like through like her psychic connection with large knives, like reaches into her shirt that was taken away from her bedside and like rips out the large knife, and it's just like, ah, at last my arm is complete again. And like, so she's ready to go raise hell. Well, she picks up the morphine needle, and the mom is
Yeah.
like, "Do you even know what that does?" And she's like, "It makes the pain go away." Like, "Ah!" Like stabs herself and ejects it. And some of the people around my area were kind of like, "Yeah," like people were getting really excited for this. Honestly, I wish she had more of an active like murder people role. Frankly,
Yeah, no, she.
I wish
didn't do
she was
much.
doing more hard ass shit. But she doesn't even confront Michael Myers. But I guess I have to keep that option open for future films,
Yeah.
provided that Jamie Lee Curtis survives.
At this same time, there is a certain gentleman who has escaped from a mental institution
Yep.
and is not Michael Myers.
Well, it's important to note that the mom and Tommy have spoken a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And Tommy's like, "We're hunting for him." And the mom goes, "Why are you hunting for him? He's coming here." And Tommy goes, "How do you know he's coming here?" And she's like, "'Cause he followed whatever this." So Tommy now has it in his head like Michael Myers is coming to this hospital.
Yeah. So, well, no need to keep on searching.
Yeah, and furthermore, we're expecting a threat in this hospital now. So Tommy goes to like the mass of people and is like,
Hey, everybody, Michael Myers is coming here.
Yeah,
Everybody's
exactly.
like, huh? And he's
Right.
like, and I bet you all want to take some vengeance on Michael Myers. And everybody's like, hey, now that you mention it, yeah, I would like to do that.
right. And
Uh,
he's like, "So get ready to murder somebody tonight. Because tonight
Yeah.
we murder somebody.
Evil
and that
dies
somebody
tonight.
we're going to
Evil
refer
dies.
to codedly as evil. So get ready to kill evil tonight." And remember, though, when I say evil, I just mean murder somebody. So, so when we say evil dies tonight, just know we say we commit a sanctioned murder tonight. We commit a sanctioned murder tonight. And that's what we're going to do is Mob, you see, which, of course, we all know is famous for keeping a cool head and level judgment.
And then everybody looks amongst each other and says, yeah, that sounds
Uh-huh.
about right. Evil dies
Evil dies tonight.
Yeah.
Evil dies tonight. And then, Mayor fella is kind of like, "The fuck is this?" He goes, "I'm the law, not you people." And then
they
the
say,
local,
shut up.
and then the local town sheriff who had his daughter get murdered by Michael Myers goes, "This is no fucking time for prudence. Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. Well, we should have killed that man without judge nor jury long time ago. But I'm amending that mistake tonight. I'm gonna shoot him in the fucking face."
Evil dies tonight.
So now there's just a mentally insane fella that got off the bus, and he comes into the hospital lobby kind of behind the glass, and he has a gash in his head, and he wants help, and he's kind of like, "Help me, help me, help me." And the mob has noticed, and from the front of the mob, you started to get like, "Who is
Michael
that?
Myers? Is that
Oh, somebody's here."
And then
Somebody's
kinda like
here.
a
Could
game
it
of
be
telephone.
Michael Myers? It was that Michael
Hey, did
Myers.
somebody say
maybe?
Michael Myers?
Michael Myers
Hey,
is here.
Michael Myers
Michael
is here.
Myers. That's
Hey.
Michael Myers. And
Hey.
then Tommy goes, "It's Michael Myers. Evil dies tonight."
So then pretty much immediately the entire mob just kind of starts chasing this fella.
Who is understandably afraid, starts ascending steps. And this is when Jamie Lee Curtis hears, like, Michael Myers is here right now. And she's like, "Fuck, I gotta get out of this room."
I got to go kill Michael Myers.
Right, so she starts chasing after everybody else is chasing after. And then eventually the mother and Jamie Lee Curtis both get a glimpse of the mentally insane fella. And they both go, "That's not Michael Myers." So they start trying to shout above mob decibels, like, "That's not him. That's not him." No one's listening. One guy tries to like shove Jamie Lee Curtis out of the way, and she like straight knees him in the balls, but with her vigorous, explosive knee, rips her staples open in her stomach. So she
Yeah.
has to go back to the hospital bed.
So she does that. And I think that this might be when she and Frank have a little heart-to-heart moment where Frank is like, well, I guess first Jamie Lee Curtis is like, "Oh, geez, all this chaos that I've brought because of Michael Myers."
Right.
And then Frank goes, "No, not all this chaos that you brought because of Michael Myers.
Right.
All this chaos that I've brought because of Michael Myers."
Right.
And she goes, "Elaborate, please."
Right.
And then he goes, "You see, flashback again." And then it flashback to that same moment that we were exposed to previously in the beginning of the film. Except now we're given a little bit of an addendum to that same moment that we had not yet seen. And so apparently Dr. Loomis is going the way of mob justice in this moment.
Yeah.
And the rest of the police force is like, yeah, it seems about right.
Right.
And so Dr. Loomis is about to sink a bullet in the back of Michael Myers' skull as he
While
lays
his mask
on the
is
ground.
off, yeah.
Then Frank says, you know what? I can't watch this happen.
Right.
And so he pushes the hand of Dr. Loomis away before he can fire, saving Michael Myers' life. And then I guess everybody decides, you know what? Yeah, okay, that one shot was enough.
I'm convinced.
we definitely
don't need to
can't
murder
do
this
that
guy
again,
anymore. Yeah,
so-
right.
Yeah, and so Michael Myers lives thanks to Frank.
Damn you, Frank. But Jamie Lee Curtis is kind of unfazed by the whole thing, and
She's like, whatever. I don't
she's like,
care.
I don't think it's just that. She's like, look, he's turning all of us into monsters here. That's not even him that they're all chasing down. Like this is all his grand master plan. So the mother is following the crazy lunatic guys. Everyone ascends stairwells and gets mad, and she tracks him down first somehow. And it's like, hey, I know you're not him. I'm going to try to save your life. So she gets him in a little corridor where she can lock glass doors on both sides of him, and he can be safe, theoretically. And so they do that, and the mob arrives and starts smashing at the doors on both sides. And the crazy man's like, this is too much, ma'am.
And pretty much immediately, like, the mother's like, that is not how I expected this to play out.
Yeah, 'cause she's like, these are not holding. And Tommy also sees it, and he's just like, oh, I know in my heart of hearts that's not Michael Myers.
But what if it was?
Yeah, kind of. So, like, the crazy man smashes open the window with a fire extinguisher and kills himself by jumping from the, I'm going to say, 7th story of the hospital.
And exploding on impact.
Yeah, I like that they made his face twitch when they zoomed in on
Yeah.
his, like, body. I'm like, okay, someone really took the time
Yeah.
to do that, but all right. And so they get down to the bottom, and the mother turns to Tommy. She's kind of like, man, it's not him. And Tommy's just kind of like, but how do we know? We never seen him without his mask. How do we know that's not him, Huh? So very much to your like, but what if it was kind of point. And eventually, like, Lonnie is with Cameron and Allison.
Yes.
And that's their crew.
Mhm.
And he has a map. And he's like, all right, he murdered all those fire people. All right, he murdered those people that lived near the nurse-doctor couple.
Mhm.
All right, and now he's murdered on the playground. So he's like, so I'm drawing a map here, and it looks like he's going for the Myers house next. So he's probably going home.
Yeah. And then simultaneously, somebody at the hospital, I don't remember who, but somebody is like, don't you see? Actually, I think it was Frank. He
Yeah,
goes,
I think he's talking to Lori.
He's like, Lori, don't you see? Nobody gives a shit about you.
Yeah, well, he's not coming to the
no.
hospital because it's not about you. But really,
if you
he
get
says
off your
nobody gives a
freaking
shit
high
about
horse.
you, Lori.
Yeah. And realize that it's not all about you.
Right.
Michael has his own dreams and aspirations, you know. He just wants to go
Outside of
home.
you. Yeah, get over it, all right? He left you.
And so then separate epiphanies of, we should probably go to the Myers home.
But at the Myers home, before everybody gets there and all that stuff, is the people who currently occupy it.
The
Big
Johns.
John and Little John.
Yeah.
John's big and small. Well, John's big and little.
And they're hanging out, smoking some marijuana.
Yeah, and Little John talks about, like, his mom or something.
Yeah.
It's a very nice moment.
Yeah.
They're kind of just hanging out. Then there's a very loud knock at the back door. And
those darn kids again.
yeah, and Big John and Little John are like, oh my God, now they're coming back. And they're at the back door this time. And then 4 more very loud knocks at the back door. And Little John is like, I'll go take care of this. So, like, he opens the back door, nobody's there, and he
I'm
goes,
sorry, I can't believe I didn't think of this sooner, but I just thought of the like Little John.
oh, okay.
It's very late right now.
God. Oh, man, that just made me so much more tired. God help me. All right. No, God bless you. Okay, so Lil Jon goes back to the bit. If you want to do a bit, feel free to insert it at your convenience. I don't do Lil Jon voices.
Insert bit.
Oh, God. Okay. So he goes to the back door, and nobody's there, but he just goes, hey,
Knock it
knock
off.
it off.
And then they go to sit back down, and they hear another bang, bang, bang.
Yeah,
But
very
this
loud
time
bang.
from the front door.
Yeah. So Lil Jon shuts the back door, doesn't lock it, And Big John goes, I'm going to scare the shit out of these kids. So he goes to the front door after grabbing a golf club, opens the front door. Nobody's there. But he starts shouting, hey, don't you know whose fucking house this is? And then he looks over at his house decorations on the front porch, one of which wields a pitchfork. And he goes, the next time I'm using the pitchfork, which I'm upset never came back into the movie. But anyway, it wasn't used to murder anybody. It was just hanging there the whole time. Anyway.
Oh, what a shame.
Big John comes back in. Well, Lil John comes out to Big John on the front porch. And Big John's like, Lil John, did you lock the back door? And Lil John realizes he absolutely did not lock the back door and goes, I'll go double check.
And so when he goes to double check, he sees a trash can overturned. But more importantly, he sees a bloody handprint on the door frame.
Yeah.
And he goes, Big John.
Somebody's in our house, and it's not a child.
And then the two of them kind of immediately know what's going down, it seems. And so then Big John goes ahead and grabs a little knife from their charcuterie board.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like,
That is what it is.
I have this knife.
Yeah.
And then Big John grabs a much
Little
larger
John.
knife. Or yeah, you're right. Little John grabs a much bigger knife.
Right.
And he goes, and I have this knife.
It's more medium-sized knife, really.
Comparatively,
Yeah.
much larger.
So they do a slow, tedious kind of search through the house, and then eventually Little John starts.
Big John goes
Yep.
upstairs.
No, you're right. Big John goes upstairs and is checking stuff. Goes into the bedroom that they currently occupy and looks in, and then gets a knife right in the armpit.
Ah, my armpit.
Yeah, so he gets stabbed, and then he gets his head grabbed, and Michael Myers starts putting his thumbs through his eyes and starts like ripping and tearing out skull stuff.
And says, now you see what I see.
Yeah.
And I remember it was interesting because I don't know if you heard or noticed this in the theater, but the person that was behind me let out a Wilhelm-esque scream during that.
No. Yeah, right. No, I never heard that.
Yeah, no, I was pretty surprised. It gave me it definitely lightened the tension
Yeah,
of
of
this
course, of course.
of this moment.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal for him to go through the eyes like that.
Yeah.
So, Little John is like, oh, fuck. So he comes upstairs.
And he sees Big John dead on the floor.
Yeah.
And he takes a moment to mourn, and then he looks up and he sees Michael Myers looking out the window, or perhaps looking at himself.
Yeah.
And then he goes, Michael.
Yeah.
Exactly what I would do if I just found my lover lying dead
Yeah.
in the bedroom floor.
All right. Oh, what is
Michael.
he going to do?
You've come home.
Yeah, exactly. And then Michael Myers turns around and it's like, yeah, no, it's more or less time to kill you. But we don't see that one, or at least I don't remember that one.
Nah, I don't think so.
Now it's time for Lonnie, Cameron, and Allison to show up at the Myers house. And all the lights are off. And Allison and Cameron, as Lonnie goes to leave, are like, all right, let's fucking do this. But Lonnie's like, no, I'm going in alone.
I'm gonna fucking do this.
And Allison and Cameron are like, that seems dumb. And Lonnie's like, look, you stay out here. If you see anything suspicious, honk the horn. But I'm not bringing you in there to throw your lives away or whatever his justification is.
And we're like, well, that seems fair to me.
So he goes in with his gun. Nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens.
Bang!
A gunshot goes off. And Allison or Cameron are like, all right, this is our fucking cue. So they go in. Cameron and Allison both go upstairs. Allison...
Not before Allison shoots a pumpkin.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, there's a light in the closet, and I guess Michael Myers probably more likely put like a burning pumpkin, like a jack-o'-lantern inside. It's not like a pumpkin on fire. It's like there's a fire inside the pumpkin, but it's not exactly a candle neither. Whatever. It's like a jack-o'-lantern in the closet, and Cameron opens the door, and Allison immediately blasts it with a shotgun before asking any questions. And thank God it wasn't Lonnie. Anyway, Allison and Cameron make their ways upstairs. Okay, so a record starts playing, and Allison and Cameron are like, all right, that's clearly a cue. So they go upstairs, and Allison goes in the room where the record is playing and sees Lil John and Big John posed pretty romantically with knives in their respective bodies and, well, no eyes for Big John. But the record's playing, and so Allison goes in the room and doesn't turn off the record and doesn't keep her gun on her, but
And
instead
pulls a knife out of-
immediately drops her weapon and keeps the loud noises going so no one can hear acutely. And then starts being like, oh, the tragedy.
of these people. I didn't
God,
know.
these people, they're dead. Oh, that's what I'm going to focus all my energy on, even though I know that a third person just came in here and isn't making any noise and didn't seem to put this record on. And we're pretty sure that, like, the guy is in here. Oh, these people. So she pulls a knife out of these people.
And Cameron, meanwhile, is poking around.
Yeah,
looking-
he's searching the hallway and sees a closet at the end of it, and it's just like, I'm sure he's in that closet. So he starts to walk kind of towards it, but then suddenly blood drips on his hand from, like, the ceiling. And Cameron's like, the fuck? So he looks up where there is an attic door, and wedged in that attic door, leading upwards, you know, how attic doors are.
is his papa.
Yeah, it's Lonnie. I can't remember this guy's fucking name. And so it's Lonnie, but he's dead, so whatever. And so blood's dripping from Lonnie onto Cameron. And when Cameron kind of does his, like, freak out, like, Papa, that's when Michael Myers makes his move out of the closet. And Cameron tries to shoot him, but Michael Myers has already grabbed the gun and stabs Cameron. Allison comes out with the shotgun, but Michael Myers also kind of throws the gun out of the way and quickly goes over to her after having stabbed Cameron and throws Allison down the stairs where she, like, shatters her kneecap or something.
Yeah.
So her leg breaks. And so now she's down at the bottom of the stairs as Cameron is just getting all kinds of fucked up.
And
So
he tries to shoot Michael Myers, but to no avail as he gets his hand stomped on.
Yeah, just completely shattered with Michael Myers' boot and ungodly amount of strength.
And so then Allison watches from the bottom of the steps as Cameron gets absolutely brutalized.
Just fucking, oh my Christ, just fucks him up. So he sticks his head through the banister and kind of, like, cracks a bunch of things, but Cameron's kind of, like, paralyzed from the neck down for sure and drooling, but not dead per se. So Allison is just like, you want to fight? Let's do it, motherfucker. Like, you want to throw down? Let's throw down. And Michael Myers is like, all right, I accept your invitation. As he walks down the stairwell, sees Cameron, and just kind of looks over towards Cameron's head that he's kind of eye level with now. And Allison is like, no, leave him alone. And Michael Myers is like, no. So he decides to finish the job off by, like, twisting his head 180 degrees. And then continues to go downstairs for Allison. And Allison tries to stab him with the knife. He grabs the knife, starts forcing it back towards Allison's breast.
and
but-
she's like, do it.
Yeah,
Do it.
and she's
As if he has shown no sign that he will actually
yeah,
do
I don't
it.
know what that's all about. She's like, you don't have to carry it? I don't fucking know. But anyway, this is when Mama comes from seemingly out of nowhere. Oh, with the pitchfork, actually. Never mind.
Oh my, I thought you were doing a bit when you were talking about the pitchfork.
No, I completely forgot. Yeah, she goes with the pitchfork and stabs Michael Myers in the back.
And yeah, she does that real good and pushes him down onto the steps and then does a good old head stomp.
Yeah, it does a good stomp on there. And then grabs the mask. And Michael Myers stands up and she's like, you want your mask? Then come chase me because I remind you of the innocence of your sister or some shit.
Yeah. And,
And,
then he's like, you know what? You do remind me of the innocence
says,
of my
"That's-
sister,
yeah."
and I would like my mask back. So
He's
he
like,
follows
that's
her.
compelling enough to abandon the Allison murder. So he starts following her, and she drops it in the middle of the street. And so Michael Myers goes to pick it up. But as soon as he picks it up, the trap has been sprung. And all the angry mob people pull up in their respective trucks. And there's all kinds of lights on maskless Michael Myers. And we never really see his face.
And they say, all right, buddy, we may have murdered one innocent man tonight, but we're going to rectify that right here, right
Okay,
now.
we didn't murder him. We just pressured him to kill himself or be murdered by us. But, yeah, so now Michael Myers, it's time for him to get the beat down. So people start, Michael Myers is not shining in his kung fu style right now as the people just beat him down mercilessly. So, they're winning. They're doing it. He's not getting up. Like, they are fucking this dude up. But unfortunately, there's a monologue happening while he gets fucked up. And it's Jamie Lee Curtis and it's Frank. And Jamie Lee Curtis is kind of just monologuing. She's like, nah, you can't kill him. it's like you can't defeat him by brute force. You can't murder him because Michael Myers will be alive so long as there is any fear, so long as anybody ever is alone on a Halloween night and feels fear. That is what will evoke Michael Myers, and he will always exist so long as people feel fear. So he's kind of like the embodiment of fear. So long as humanity has it and acts in and acts out of fear and acts in fear of things, then Michael Myers will be there. And he'll come around every so often on Halloweens to just murder a bunch of people because we feel fear. And this is when the mother back at the Michael Myers beatdown decides to get her lick in by taking the knife that Michael Myers had and sinking it into his shoulder before she goes back to comfort her daughter, Allison. But this is when, leaving the body lifeless and laying down now, Michael Myers picks that very same knife out of his back and starts showing his kung fu prowess as he starts knife slashing everybody in the mob. Like, he kills the entire mob people here now. Just fucking all of them. Next, Jamie Lee Curtis is like, and Michael Myers will always be there. And you can't close your eyes and pretend he isn't there because he is. And this is when the mother goes up to the spot where Michael Myers usually stands and, looks out the window before Michael Myers literally appears right behind her and then brutally murders her, much like he did his sister all those years ago. And then the movie ends, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Bam.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then the music hits.
So I have to say, obviously, Michael Myers, the fictional person, an evil entity, you know?
Right.
Just all around bad person. No redeeming qualities.
Sure.
That being said, in the brief moment that he is getting his ass kicked, I don't know about you, it didn't really feel satisfying, you know? Especially because it was preceded by, like, seeing what is essentially, like, an old man behind a mask.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Maybe my brain is all fucked up or whatever, but, like, terrible person or not, it's very hard for me to get behind a mob just terrorizing, just destroying an old man.
Well, as we know, he's not really just old man. He's like half old man, half Satan.
No, that's very true. But I mean, even regardless of the actions behind the person, it's hard for me to get past the emotional thought of like, all right, old man, it's time for you to meet mob justice.
Yeah, it's weird that like the really incompetent and like really just like ridiculous mob actually kind of got their way for a bit at the end before they all got brutally murdered. But like, you know, for me it wasn't cathartic because you can't have any parts of Michael Myers like squish or get disembodied, so it was just kind of like a sandbag getting like hit. So it was just kind of like pump, pump with various things. Like they couldn't do any like, I mean, like the mother did the knife, but like nobody else like sunk an axe in his head or like squished the masks flat with like a baseball bat.
That's true. But that being said, I do think that this is where I was saying before we started recording. I think he did get shot like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, he got
by
shot.
The one guy.
Yeah, but like none of that really like came through. You know?
No, that's true. Yeah.
There was there was nothing that like showed the beating. Like there was no like blood on the jumpsuit or anything like that. It was just very, I don't know. It looked like a wrestling beatdown.
Yeah, it did.
More than it looked like we're gonna kill you, old man beatdown.
Yeah. I was
I mean,
naive,
he was selling
though.
well. Don't get me wrong. You know,
Yeah,
it looked
no,
like he
certainly.
could have gone down for the 3 count.
Yeah.
But you know,
See that I was naive because before we started watching this movie, I had expressed to you how I knew I probably was not going to like it. Well, I mean, I did like it, but I knew I was probably not going to be a big fan of like the plot and story beat, because the trailer definitely gave the impression that it was like, oh, Michael Myers is not a mortal. Michael Myers is in fact immortal,
right?
And is like an entity of some sort that cannot be killed.
Right.
And I personally, not a big fan of that angle, which we can get more into. But again, I thought that's what it was going to be going in, and I think they kind of for most of the movie kind of like towed the line where they were like, okay, yeah, like maybe he's taking a little bit more like of a beating than he probably should be able to,
but like he is definitely like a dude. Like, or at least they tried to like make you think that could be the case until the reveal.
Right.
So yeah, I naively, like during that whole beatdown thing, I was like, oh, I guess they're gonna kill Michael Myers, and like this is it. So I was as fun as it was to see the aftermath. I was very disappointed when he got up and started slashing people.
Yeah. Look, I'm not against the idea of him as like this kind of like just kind of embodiment of death and fear or whatever. What makes it annoying for me is when like if he's gonna be an embodiment of like death and fear, they don't have all like the clueless people folk running around being like, let's take this dude out, eh? Like I would much rather that like he be understood as this immortal entity of like fear and death, that everyone's like, oh, is the immortal embodiment of fear and death here this season? Well, then we better all cower, or even like at least have like a respective ritual that everyone's trying to always kind of like get to, but never really quite nails or whatever, you know? Where it's like if you like twist 3 times in the Myers house and like light 5 candles at each corner before he can like stab 3 of your children, then Michael Myers will be banished until 5 years in the future or something.
I don't necessarily hate like the whole like mystical entity thing.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I'm like, hey, all of my serial killers have to be a real corporeal person.
Right.
You know, that's not necessarily the case. I think for me, it's more consistency, because the first Halloween, which again I know you have not seen, you've only like seen it secondhand through what's retold in Halloween 2 and so on and so forth. But with that, like it is, and I think I even mentioned this in Halloween 2, it's like relatively grounded.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it's like Michael Myers was a 6-year-old boy who killed his sister, and then he went to an asylum, and then he somehow got out. He killed some people,
Right.
and then he got shot like 6 times,
right.
and is like either dead or dying,
Right.
like period. And like that's that. And I think that's the thing, is it's like, because maybe I'm wrong. I imagine when John Carpenter wrote it, it was like, all right, cool, I'm going to write this creepy story. And it was not like, oh, cool, I'm going to then make a bunch of franchises and expand the lore.
Right.
And so with that, it was like, it was clearly, in my opinion, like it was started off as a not supernatural thing. It was, again, it was just a like, hey, wouldn't it be creepy if there was this guy who killed people?
Right.
And to then go from that to the like, oh, he's a supernatural being of evil, that I don't particularly like. If it was out of the get-go of like, he's pure evil and nothing can stop him, like that's something I could have got behind a little more.
Right.
But that's what annoys me about it.
No, I agree.
And actually, that leads me to, because I'll be very candid, I liked this movie. It was fun. It was a fun watch. Who doesn't like watching gory deaths in a horror
rad,
movie?
Man.
I mean, was the story the strongest thing? No, not at all. I mean, you fucking listened to us struggle through that. Again, we enjoyed that movie, but it was kind of painful to get through this plot summary. But as much as I liked the movie, the things that I disliked about it were like the same thing. It was like Michael Myers in the first movie, again, and even to some extent the second movie. It was like Michael Myers isn't just this like killing machine. It's like, especially in the first movie, Michael Myers is killing a specific type of person. Like he is killing like innocent teenage girls,
right.
And it probably has to do with some like trauma type thing, whatever. But then you go from that to like, actually, even in Halloween 2, like he doesn't kill the old lady and stuff. It's like, no, I have no interest in you. I'm going to take this knife and I'm going to go next door and kill the teenage girl.
Right.
But in this, it was like, I'm going to kill anybody who crosses my path.
I just like
and
killing.
I just enjoy the act of killing in a creative way.
Yeah.
Which, like, again, that's fun to watch.
Right.
But it
doesn't feel very Michael Myers.
No, yeah, it feels. It felt very much like Michael Myers has been Flanderized.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
And those honestly, because I mean, how many horror movies do you really know that have phenomenal plots? So I can't really give that too much of
Right.
I can't put too much weight in that being something I dislike about it. But yeah, so that being said, really just the fact that like I think this movie does not really stay true to the spirit of what Michael Myers originally was, and instead he's just like, here I go killing again.
Right.
Like, aside from that, I like it, but that is a little off-putting to me.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's like it's a good movie, but maybe just not a good Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say? Or you want to get into reviews?
No, nothing specific. Again, like I'm not overly familiar with this franchise, so it's hard for me to really come up with anything that's like, oh, well, my take on this one versus, like it was yeah. I mean, it just wanted to do brutal death, and I mean, more power to it. More power to the brutal death.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell that the people who made this film were interested in making the film that they were making, and they did it well. So I mean, more power to them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. No, I should about encapsulate it. I mean, like, I think there was an amount of like leaning into what this was that they did that was pretty apparent.
Uh-huh.
Like they didn't try to make it like they didn't try to take seriously the elements that they know have been kind of like troped, played out, and therefore become kind of like laughable if they're put into a movie in a serious tone. Like, no, take this 100% seriously. So they made a good job of like understanding which parts had no chance of being taken seriously and kind of like doing like tongue-in-cheek style. So
Yeah.
I think they walked that line really well. And outside of that, there was a lot of creative murders, a lot of stabbing through face areas.
Yeah.
Though I'm not gonna lie, I mean, like, stuff like that happens. But I remember someone talking about like ancient combat once.
Uh-huh.
And they were saying one of the most like unexpected ones that nobody really like thinks about anymore, but totally happened and is some of the most gruesome shit ever, is if you imagine like a spear or like a long pole weapon going up in like the groin area type of thing, like where like I forget what you call it, the perineum maybe?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
I believe you.
I don't think that's what it's called. There's something, it's the area between like the genitalia itself and the anus. Just like taking a stabbing like long pole arm up through that, like going up towards the neck. That's some shit that'll make you like feel like your bones tingle, where you're just like
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of like face and neck stabbing, because that makes sense. But like I think a stabbing in that kind of way would have really added to the gore factor, since they cared so much about going for that angle. So just a note.
I think that's good. Yeah.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely appreciated that they didn't shy away from the gore.
I don't know. I kind of go either way on it, frankly. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to keep it creative, and like, cause good like gore makes you just kind of go like, kind of makes you do like the hairball thing where you're like,
Yeah.
like ooh, and everything tingles.
Well, it's a step up from Halloween too.
Well, I mean, like, sure, in terms of that, but like, I think Halloween 2 was better for not trying to go that way. Because it's hard to be inspired doing that stuff. It's hard to do that stuff in an inspirational kind of way, where it's like it's not too much. It doesn't seem like you spent too much time in a room trying to be like, what's a really weird but like non-practical way to make something seem really brutal. So it tried, but after a while, it kind of all got samey to me.
Yeah, that I could see that as well.
But
You ready for
in
these
all,
reviews?
perfectly good. Yeah.
Jason Escamilla, I believe. Okay. And this reads, Halloween Kills is a mindless bloodbath that does have fun sprinkled humor amidst its kills, but the plot and the illogical, lazy ending lack any compelling punch. And I think that's pretty on par.
I have a 1-star here
Let's hear it.
from Conal Jacob Harper that I think just kind of expands on that. All right, strap in. This is a couple paragraphs. I'm a big horror movie fan, primarily ones that rely on scares and dark plots over all-out gore. This movie gets 3 out of 10. So, with that in mind, here's my review. A mind-numbingly dull 2 hours of my life that I will never get back. The plot was lifeless, to say the least, with a vague concept of Michael terrorizing the neighborhood one gratuitously gory kill at a time, all while being chased by a disconnected rabble of angry knuckle draggers that shout "Evil dies tonight" while hiding inside a hospital. The acting was terrible. The characters were uniquely unlikable, which resulted in me hoping the killer would get away, a distinct failing of any horror movie. You know it's bad horror when you're laughing more than hiding. Final point I'll make is this. The appeal of Halloween comes from Michael being a dark, sinister monster who has been shunned by society, which maintains the way he is. He is the shadow of the human psyche, evil in its pure form. That's what makes him scary. The unpredictable sadism. In this movie, he was an invincible giant who walked at the pace people sprinted, could quietly drift through a house only being heard when he wanted, and was otherworldly. Once you realize the enemy is immortal or demonic, it's hard to believe in it anymore. Hopefully, the next will address these issues, shine a light on Michael's childhood, and bring him into the realm of a sinister, twisted human. So that's his take on the whole thing.
I have actually two more that are quite short.
Okay.
I'll start with a good one and then another bad one.
Right.
And this good one is relatively good. And this is from Josh Corngut, and it reads, "It's stupid, it's self-serious, but it's a hell of a great time from start to finish."
Right. Self-serious. I'm
not sure what that means either. I
Yeah.
also was curious.
Yeah. This is a 5-star from Zachary Cluckman. Okay. I know some fans will find things not to like in this new one because don't they always? And honestly, I already know the two things some people are likely to complain about the most. But that said, I love it. This one digs a lot deeper than many of the previous films with a carefully plotted level of exploration into trauma and how people react to situations in ways that feel very real to me, which may be a turnoff for someone who want more of a simple hacker and slasher. Michael is on a whole other level in this film, and I feel like this movie reinforces what we've always known about him. Can't say more than that, but you'll see. There are a few places where you may think it's about to go off the rails, and it does not give you what you probably came in thinking you were going to see because they're setting it up for the next/last one. But you can tell there was a very clear vision of what they were doing, not only reinforcing the most haunting aspects of the Myers character, but also fixing some of the mistakes made in previous films and giving us more insight into his impact on the community he has thrown into chaos. This is a story about fear and how it changes people. In short, this film builds slowly in the beginning, but once it pops off, holy shit, hold on to your seat because you ain't ready for this brutal, relentless film. Ultimately, how much you like this one probably depends a lot on which version of Halloween is your favorite. But if you're a fan of Carpenter's original version, like me, then I think this one takes that version forward in some staggering ways. Love it.
Man, that's really unfortunate because I really disagree with that. I think if you're a big fan of the original, this one does a lot of things that fly in the face of not that.
Yeah, and if you're a big fan of the second one, you just want to see him get shot 6 times.
Lord knows I do. I do really like the idea though of like seeing how Michael's actions have affected the community.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of interesting.
Yeah. I don't know that I necessarily liked how it was done, but it was
Right.
an interesting thing to explore. But yeah, okay, so I have one more review to read before we can do our ratings. And this is from Richard Roper. And it succinctly says, "Halloween Kills puts a knife in the promising reboot of Michael Myers."
As in bad.
Yes.
I see.
However, if
yeah.
I had to guess, Michael Myers will probably take that knife out and continue to reboot for a long time to come.
regardless of how well that goes.
Yeah. 'Cause,
How
I mean,
apt.
hell, it's doing well in the box office. So.
Yeah, that's what's weird. You know, that's what the articles are saying. Despite the Peacock double release, like people are going to see it. It's turning out really well.
Yeah.
People love Halloween. Well, are you ready for some ratings?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alrighty. Yeah, this is a tough one to rate. Again, this was a really fun watch. Like that cannot be understated. Like this is just a really fun movie to watch. I think it's the perfect amount of like zany and campy. Most of the kills are pretty fun to watch. There's some creativity to it. There's definitely at least a few kills that make you want to be like, ooh, that was tough. But again, I don't know. It's just that I think to what I think of or what I like to think is like the spirit of Michael Myers. I think this is not necessarily in line with that. But that being said, I can't be a curmudgeon-y old man. I understand that characters get flanderized and people like the traits that get brought out in that. And Michael Myers is no longer just a person who is troubled and has trauma that he doesn't know how to deal with, and so instead kills teenage girls. That's not what he is anymore. It's not what he has been for quite some time. Michael Myers is and has been for many, many movies at this point just a killing machine with no rhyme or reason really as to who he kills. He just kills, and that's what he does. And I think if you can accept that, it's a fun watch and a good movie by certain definitions. And so with that, I think that this gets a very well-deserved out of. And yeah, I don't know what else I can say about it. I've kind of talked myself out, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I don't have too much to add to that because, again, I'm not big. I have no idea about these movies. I've seen 2 in my life over the past, 3 weeks. So, I don't know what he used to be. I don't know what he is now. All I can says is if you live in Haddonfield, leave Haddonfield, or just make sure wherever Michael Myers was last kind of murdered and ended last Halloween, just make sure your house is not on a straight line path between that place and the Myers house, and you'll probably survive that season. Yeah, I don't know if having the house next to the Myers house would really help you. Mm-hmm. I mean, it kind of seems like Myers kills every mile or so. Yeah. And once he gets back to his house, it would be weird if he did the perimeter of his home. Besides, it seems weird to think that he would stop in his neighbor's house, commit some murders before he goes home. As much as he can see his own door, he would probably just go to his own home, right? So, maybe buy the house next to the Myers house. Do not buy the Myers house. And that's all I can really think about to have that one. So that's my advice. On a list of places to live, I'd have to give Haddonfield a out of. But I'm rating this movie. So this movie gets a out of. Because I have no history with the franchise to worry about the respect that is due.
Yeah, there you go. That makes sense. I too, I was thinking a lot about Haddonfield and how it is as a place to live and stuff. And I also I thought several times why if you have had a history with Michael Myers. And that's something you're worried about. It seems like maybe just moving somewhere far away might fix that.
Yeah, I'm sure your family and friends would understand.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not.
No, I'm 100% certain they would.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
And maybe move with you.
I also. Man, I know we're about to end, and I'm happy to do that, but I am kind of bummed at what they did to Jamie Lee Curtis, because in the first movie, like, I don't know, she is what she is, and of course you're not really familiar with that. But then you have the second movie, and she does what she does,
Right.
and by the end of it, she's taken out Michael Myers, and she's more or less like ready to in my opinion, move on with her life and be okay,
Sure.
But then, and of course, Halloween 2, of course, is not canonical anymore. But in the 2018 Halloween movie that preceded this, that we also did not watch together, I think like they kind of just go the whole route of like, oh, after the night of Halloween in 1978, she dedicated her whole life to being ready for when he'd come back.
Right.
I don't know, like,
Someone had to. Loomis ain't there no more.
I guess. I don't know. I don't like that for her character.
Yeah, nah, probably not. But I mean, again, with the absence of Loomis, who is?
Yeah.
And now she can be like Grandma Loomis. She's in that age range now, so.
I'm telling you, the franchise should have died when Loomis did.
Amen.
And to some extent, I'd say it did. And with that, oh my God, I almost forgot to mention. You know what? I retract my rating. This easily gets a out of, for the simple fact that they didn't have Dick Warlock reprise his role.
Oh yeah, that's fair. It should have been Dick Warlock. under
For
the mask.
shame, John
Especially-
Carpenter.
yeah, especially-
For shame.
Especially for the amount of time they had him without his mask on. Like, it should have been Dick Warlock. Is Dick Warlock dead? I don't know.
He isn't. I checked.
And
He's alive.
And he hasn't done any outstandingly abhorrent things from his days in the 70s where he should never be anywhere near anything.
Not that would come up in a quick Google search anyway.
All right, good. All right. Then yes, it should have been Dick Warlock.
Man. With that, happy Halloween. Thank you for sticking through us for our Halloween extravaganza.
We had you on this Halloween season. Tune in next year if we're still running shows for part 2.
Bop.
What's a